everyone, today I'll be doing a solo Grandmaster run with Hunter. For my subclass, I'll be using Night Stalker. Here are the mods and fragments I'll be using in this video. For my kinetic, I'll be using Withrow Horde. Next, I'll be using a solar scout rifle with explosive payload. For my heavy, I'll be using Cell Spy Pitch class. All the mods I use in this video will be on the DIN description below. This is gonna be the Dreaming City build, the Transcendent Blessing Hunter build. I decided to go for a clean run, not the cleanest run since I had a lot of problems at the final boss as always. But a Scorn champion will appear, and as I said before, Bungie decided to add additional Overload champion, the Lava Overload champion. And I'm gonna be dealing with the Ogre. So one thing I will mention again is that you can actually skip the Overload champions if you take down this boss very quickly. You must take down this Ogre fast and then just go to the next area quickly before the Overload champions appear. So now this Ogre is not cooperating with me, so as always I'm trying to bait him, and then this Blight of Darkness of Death is trying to two-shot me. So make sure you do your precision shots, or you can use Storm Chaser. I didn't really use it for this video because I have issues with it for far and distance DPS for console, and it's a nightmare. Especially for the boss fight, which I will talk about very soon. Now we're going to be skipping this area. So back in the old Corrupted version, there was a lot of taken Cabals, Minotaurs, and it was probably the worst situation for Warlocks and Titans, where the Hunter can just turn invisible and skip this section. That was the old Corrupted version. Now for this version, they took it off. Now the Warlocks and the Titans will have an easier time passing through this taken room, and now the Elevator Room of Death, or the Elevator Room of Patience. So in my last video I did the Skull, the 1580 version, and then now I'll be doing the Sword version, or the regular Grandmaster version. Now one thing I will say is that I am trying out this build. I do have 5 Transcendent Blessing mods. Now, one thing I'm really interested is that you can actually break the shield if you have solo operated plus 5 Transcendent Blessing. It's crazy. So remember when you always have to throw the orb 2 times? Well, with 5 times of the Transcendent Blessing and Solar Operative, you can just break the shield only one go for the first phase. For the first phase of the elevator. Now for the boss over here, it takes about 2 hits if you do want to go for the Dreaming City build. But if not, it will take around 3. So once I took down the mini bosses, since I am using a Dreaming City build, you know, this was my first attempt of trying out the Dreaming City build. I guess I'm gonna call it that since I am using the Transcendent Blessing, and I had to sacrifice resilience, had to sacrifice mobility just to make this mini build. For Hunters, of course, Warlocks and Titans can also use this, but the con about this is that you have to sacrifice some of the resilience, the recovery, discipline for your Warlock and Titan if you do want to go for 5 times Transcendent Blessing with solo operative. It is required for it to work with solo operative, just to let everyone know. I have tested out. So I'm going to be using the tether and then throw my grenade just to suppress them or blind them and slow them down. And they're going to be dealing with the next phase, where it used to be extremely harsh on the old Corrupted version, but now they replaced them with stasis mini bosses. So it actually takes 2 relics to break the shield. So I will take my time over here. You don't have to use 6 Coyote. You can just use the Graviton exotic helmet or the Oni exotic chest plate. If you want to blind the mini bosses, you could just drop a smoke at them to be blinded, and you could just use your relic and then just make your way. For me, I decided to use 6 Coyote just for the heck of it, even though I'm not really using a bomber build. I wanted to, but I needed the 5 times of Transcendent Blessing just to get more power. Now, you're probably curious, but I'll tell you very soon of how much percent you get for getting 5 times of Transcendent Blessing. So make sure you do break the shield and then just move away. Now, if you are using the Oni chest plate, you could just drop a smoke near them, but be aware that they can one-shot you with their shield. And you can also jump over them, but you have to be very precise on your hunter, because there are times where I try to jump over them, but then they still one-shot me, or I'm on red health and I get pushed off the map, which is extremely annoying. I'm just waiting for my dodge, and I'm just trying to see where this Cabal Taken is doing. Looks like he was too close. I didn't want him to push me off the map. So I am going to retreat, pull back, and then try to see if I could use my linear fusion, but then the blights were blocking my way. Couldn't do the precision shot, and then the mini boss with the stasis saw me. So one thing you could do is use Will the Horde, or you can just pick up a relic and then just try to break the shield if it is near you. For me, I'm just trying to take down these mini bosses, so I am taking my sweet time here. So I was using Will the Horde, just trying to bait this mini boss. And then once I take him down, then we have to deal with the mini boss. So this guy likes to shoot fire, stasis. So I'm just trying to see where he is so I can deal with this mini boss. Alright, so I'm trying to deal with the next mini boss, the one that can push you off the map. So I'm trying to do DPS, use Will the Horde. Then once I deal with him, I'll go and deal with the mini stasis boss. It would take around 2 relics to break their shields. Just be aware of their arc attack. They do melt. And also because I don't have the 100 resilience, unfortunately for my hunter, it was a bit of a pain dealing with them, especially with their arc. And then the Taken Scions at the boss fight, a nightmare. So now I'm going to be dealing with the Taken. And you can also use the Crystal to block the fire attack. Just be aware of the Taken animation on the ground. They can hurt you. So I was just trying to be a little distance from this mini boss because his fire is extremely dangerous. And now we're going to deal with Unstoppable Champion. This is going to be such a fun Nightfall. So I am going to try to stagger the champion before I use my super. I was trying to do it, but all these arc knights and these acolytes, or I like to call them the fire dudes, they were shooting and the Unstoppable Champion wasn't in the middle. Usually the champion's in the middle where you can use Will the Horde, but he was all the way from the far left side. So there are times where the Unstoppable Champion is RNG where it's standing. It's either middle or left, maybe right. Very awkward, but just make sure you take them down. And then the Arc Knights run away and they're going to do their ballerina twirls. Just perfect. And then they shoot this arc blast at me. And it took almost more than half of the health of my Guardian. So now I'm going to be dealing with the Shrieker. I think in this footage, he wasn't cooperating. So this is basically what happens when he doesn't want to cooperate with you. So because he's being complicated, I have to use this wall to avoid the void attack from the Shrieker, and then just use Wildehorde, try to body shot it. Try to measure the Wildehorde a bit. There we go, we got the body shot. They're going to deal with the Ballerina Arc Knights, or Arc Captains. First things first, I gotta look for ammo. I need some ammo. And yes, I am using Lucent Finisher. Thank the Bungie and the Traveler and the Cade for that. And I'm using the Artifact mod to stagger champions with the Overload, with the grenades. So remember, just be very careful with the Arc Knights. They can shoot Arc Blast, which can hurt your poor Guardian, so just dodge for your life. And just watch him do the Ballerina twirls. And he will pop his shield to regain his health, so his Arc Shield can regain as well. So just be very careful with him. He is very dangerous, unpredictable. You can also throw a smoke to blind him, which I should have done in this video. I don't know why I didn't do that, but silly me. You can also use your finisher. Just be very careful. He likes to sneak up and shoot Arc Blasts. So one thing's very interesting about the Transcendent Blessing is each mod you put for your armor is 5%. So I put all 5 so I can break the shields more, so I can have an easier time at the elevator room for the hunter and then at the boss fight. So basically I am getting 25% buff with the Transcendent Blessing. That's crazy. Plus 15% on solo operative if I'm mistaken. So 45%. And look how much damage I'm doing at Unstoppable Champion. And this is just my first attempt of trying out this build. I mean, imagine if I was... Imagine if this was a much cleaner run. You know, everything would be, a perfect run. Like, it would be insane. So, now I'm going to be picking up some heavy bricks because, well, honestly, why not pick up and abuse Lucent Finisher for this season? I'm gonna do the Ballerina twirl, my hunter. I'm gonna skip and ditch this Shrieker. Since hunters have a hard time in this room, compared for the Warlock and the Titan, it's no big issue. Now I'm gonna go use Wildehorde, and I'm gonna use the mini cheese. I'm not really sure if it's called a cheese, to be honest, but I would say the easy method. As I said before in my previous video, we will have the Castaway, but this time we're going to control the Castaway. Because Corrupted is just so corrupted, why not just bug out the game a bit? Or in other words, why not have fun since this Nightfall is just so buggy? So I'm going to be focusing on doing precision shots. I'm going to take my time here. So this is one thing I would say for console and PC. For console players, using Storm Chaser is extremely difficult on long, far distance DPS. That's why I decided to use the Cell Spy Pitch Class Linear over the Storm Chaser. And you can see here, on console, no problem, precision shot, done. Now I'm going to be dealing with Unstoppable Champions. So what I do is I try not to contact the final boss or the mini taken Ogre. I tag the Unstoppable Champions and they're going to walk all the way from the left side. Two things will happen was 2 Unstoppable Champions will go to the right side, or one will go from the right side and one will jump to the middle in front of you. If you do have linear fusion, try your best to use as much as you can. And then you can see here the unstoppable champion jumped, hopped off, and went to the middle. Best thing you could do over here is Lord Unstoppable Champion. Just be very careful with his melee attack. It can one-shot you. Or if you have 100 Rheasilvians, it will two-shot you. But I don't have that for my hunter, because I actually had to sacrifice a lot of mobility and the Rheasilvians so I can do 25 more damage and just make the boss fight a little easier. Especially the elevator room, because I hate that. I really despise the elevator room on Hunter. Alright, so I did run out of ammo, unfortunately. So I was trying to do Wield Horde, trying to take down this boss. So if I actually had enough heavy, I would have taken down the Ogre right away and then just proceed to the next area. So I'm going to do a mini time skip here of just going on top of this rock and then just doing precision shots. After spending, I would say, 30 seconds of my life and your life as well. I'm going to be using the power of invisibility, but if I was on Warlock and Titan, I probably will go from the right side and then just quickly bunny hop or Titan melee jump to the portal. Alright, so now this is going to be the area where we're going to deal with two unstoppable champions. So the unstoppable champions behave differently. Sometimes they get stuck in a door, sometimes both of them just go aggressive and try to one-shot you. If you do have low resilience, especially A tier, they will one-shot you. So just be super cautious with them. Alright, so I'm going to do a mini time skip here. I am going to go pick up the heavy bricks I left. Alright, I'm going to deal with Unstoppable Champion. I'm going to bait him and bait the other Unstoppable if I can. One stagger, make sure you do precision shots with your Cell Spy. And then use Wield Horde again. And then try your best to get Loosen Finisher. I didn't mean to take down the Unstoppable Champion. I think the Transcendent Blessing was just too powerful to the point where I couldn't control the DPS, alright? I am so sorry, I apologize. So I am gonna be baiting the Taken Thrall to go to the Wield Horde. And now I'm going to deal with the Void Shields. You could also skip them and then just focus on Unstoppable Champions. But the thing is, they always freeze me. They always find their way to annihilate me, or they freeze me and then Unstoppable Champion shoots the solar at me. Or sometimes the Overload Champion just walks out of nowhere and then just stasis me. And just stasis my hunter. So make sure you blind the Taken... Well, it used to be a sniper. So I would say the stasis acolyte, I guess. And then you can deal with the two Unstoppable Champions. So I am waiting for the Overload Champion to walk up. It usually seems to be very aggressive when you stand on the platform from the right side. So if you can, I do recommend to try your best to get Loosen Finisher. Here, I was trying to measure the DPS, but I was basically out of control with the Transcendent Blessing. Alright, I was out of control, guys. I was just trying to take my revenge on this Nightfall. I hate this Nightfall so much. But make sure you do at least use Loosen Finisher of 2 champions, or at least 1. That way you'll have an easier time dealing with the Overload champions at the next room. So right now I'm trying to deal with Unstoppable Champions. They are extremely annoying to deal with, especially from far distance. They could also be aggressive and go up the stairs, but just remember that the melee attack can one-shot you, so just be super aware of that. Alright, time to use my Loosen Finisher. I just love it so much for this season and take advantage of it. Alright, so I am gonna go to this teleporter. And once we dealt all the champions, we could skip the mini boss. The mini boss is not a champion, so there's really no point of doing DPS or taking it down unless you are really into the high points for fire team, then go ahead. But if not, then just skip it. So I am waiting for the load screen or the load time so I can land this rock. Because every time I try to rush, I always get hit by a rock. All the time. I just have bad luck on rocks this week. I don't know why. It's just been very bizarre. Extremely bizarre, but now we're going to be dealing with more Overload champions. Alright, so I'm going to do a mini time skip here. I was actually having trouble with this Overload champion. So what happened is I kept just doing one little scout. And then he didn't want to go off the edge. So I kept doing this for 1 minute. And then he finally gave in. And then he just fell to the pit. So I'm going to do a mini time skip here. Alright, so finally spent 2 minutes. This guy was not wanting to walk to the death pit. But finally I made him go to the death pit so I can get the points. And then just make my way to the 2 Overload champions. So just be aware of your invisibility since you do want to skip all these ads since there's no point. Plus we're not on a Void Walker or we don't have any weapons or strong grenades to deal with the Voided Taken Minotaur for this build. So there's no point of taking them down. So I do recommend just to do DPS to Overload champions backwards. So for this one, be aware of the sniper. So make sure you throw your grenade to take down the sniper. Now I did some little testing. So the sniper can actually two-shot you on A tier Rheasilvians. I remember on 1580 he one-shot me. But for the regular GM, he only two-shots you. Which is good news because I was extremely frustrated on the skull version, the one where everything was skulls, and I did not enjoy it at all. And I still hate this Nightfall, even though Transcendent Blessing makes it so much easier. I still despise this Nightfall with all of my hate. Revenge! I hate this Nightfall so much. It just feels great to be strong and have more of the power for this Nightfall. Alright, so just be extremely careful when using Lucent Finisher on that last Overload champion. Extremely careful. I do recommend to just use Lucent Finisher at the first one. And the second one, I would just take him down because the problem is that if you use Lucent Finisher, there's going to be that Taken Minotaur harassing you. And that Minotaur can lead you to orbit. Alright, so now I'm going to be showing you something really interesting for the boss fight, especially with the relics. So first things first, we're going to be dealing with these Scion bunnies or the Taken bunnies or any nickname you like to call them. I like to call them the Scion bunnies, Taken bunnies. So I'm going to be using my super. And then I am going to take down all these ads as much as I can. If not, I will pull back to the mini island room. So I'm trying to use my sky rifle, and the reason why I'm using it over Wilderhorde so much is because usually I need to break these solar shields. That way I can just use Wilderhorde and I can do more damage. Now here is a really interesting part. So when shooting the relics on the boss, it actually takes 3 relics instead of 4. So once you shoot 2 of them, you pick up the 3rd last, and then you can do DPS at the boss. And then the best thing is you're doing 25 more damage to the boss, which makes it so much easier. So before doing DPS, just make sure she uses her arc. If not, she will try to push her off the map. So now I'm going to do precision shots. and move around a bit, because I notice if I do just stand still and do precision shots, she will one-shot me. But still, it's RNG, so first rule of Corrupted, don't trust Corrupted. Anything can happen. And it's extremely hard to get the perfect run, because things happen, and you'll see very soon what I'm talking about, especially the boss fight. Well, the second phase, but yeah. When using your super, make sure you use Will the Horde, and then make sure you use your grenade if you do have your grenade. Now, if you are able to have high discipline, then I do recommend to have weaken or suppressing grenades. It would make it so much easier dealing with this phase, but because the stats for my hunter isn't the best, and of course I have to sacrifice a lot of discipline, I decided to just not use a suppressing fragment and then just use the one that lasts longer, the grenades, which work perfectly, especially dealing with the overload champions, snipers, and of course this part, the island with the taken scions. So I am going to be taking down all these taken scions, these solar knights, so I will take my sweet time. So just make sure you just use a scout, use Will the Horde. If you are low on Will the Horde, just go to the island, turn invisible, and pull back. I will do a mini time skip for this one to clear all these solar knights before grabbing the relic. Once I abuse the power of Transcendent Blessing and Will the Horde, I'm going to turn invisible because I think I clear all the ads. Oops, I missed one. Sorry about that. Alright, so now we're going to be going back to get the relics. Now be careful of the rocks. I almost got hit by a rock. Oh, my traveler and the speaker. So be extremely careful when jumping to the second island or the island from the left side. So when using Transcendent Blessing, it's about 3 relics, not 4 or 5. Don't remember at the moment. So once you shoot 2 of the relics, make sure you save 1. Now make sure you move, make sure you make the boss shoot the arc from the left side. That way she won't have a chance to shoot arc at you when you're doing DPS. You can use your super if you want to. For me, I don't think I use my super. Just be aware that sometimes the boss can push you off the map. And just make sure and try your best to do precision shots. And then using the Cell Spy pitch class, you'll have an easier time doing precision shots over Storm Chaser for console. I know Storm Chaser is powerful, but it is extremely hard to do precision shots, especially from far distance. Mid distance, okay, but then when a boss is pushing you mid distance, it can be a bit of a big issue. So this is the part where it is everyone's playstyle. So for me, what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to wait for my grenade. And the reason why I'm not going to shoot from the right side is because I don't want to alert the boss. So the boss likes to shoot arc from this spot if she sees you. So that's why I am spamming my emote, because I am waiting for my grenade to deal with the sniper and the solar knight. Another thing I like to tell you is sometimes the solar fire can hurt you. So the spot you see there is not 100% safe. But if going to that spot, especially for Warlock and Titan, you must take them down very quickly. You can also go by the rock from the left side. But the problem with that is the boss can sometimes shoot you from the left side as well. If you notice the overload champion or the sniper, yes, that spot is somewhat safe. Not the safest, but it can be. Just have to be super cautious and make sure you take down the snipers, the solar knights quickly. Especially if you have the grenade built for the Warlock and Titan. It will make life easier. And you'll have less stressful time. So right now I'm going to pull back because things were not going my way. You know, the solar knights being so it wasn't cooperating with me. It was starting to not let me take him down. And one thing you must be aware is that when standing this spot, the boss can see you. Try your best to move around a bit. You don't want to stand still because there's just a bug with the boss. Anything can happen. It can one-shot you if you stand still. Sometimes if you're moving around, it can still one-shot you. It's just RNG. And this is why I don't like Corrupted. I was trying to throw my nade. It somewhat tagged the other champion. But just be extremely careful and then try to have Loosen Finisher or use Loosen Finisher. And then once you do that, you could take down the Solar Knight, especially from the left side wall. Or you can turn invisible and then just make the boss teleport to another area. So I was waiting for my dodge here, by the way. So I was trying to see if I can take down this Solar Knight. The spot isn't the best, so I pull back and I'm going to be waiting for my dodge so I can go and make this boss move. So I'm going to do a mini time skip for this one. Alright, so now I'm going to turn invisible. Just make sure the rocks pass by. You don't want to get hit by rocks, like proving grounds. Alright, for some reason the fire was in the sky. You see what I mean? You just can't trust Corrupted. Anything can happen. I don't understand why why was there fire in the air? It was just so random. Didn't happen to me on my 1588 run. It didn't happen to me on my test runs. It's so random. So I did make the boss move so I can have an easier time dealing with the Solar Knights. Now, funny story, sometimes the Solar Knight can fall down. Sometimes. Rarely happens, but if it does happen, well, lucky. Because it only happened to me twice. I was trying to see maybe I can snipe them with the linear, but I don't think it was gonna work out, so I decided to just go jump to the island and then a rock blocked me. Oh, great. Did you guys see that? I was trying to jump forward and then a rock, invisible rock or a tiny rock blocked me. I mean, imagine if I was on a Warlock. That would have been back to orbit, right? Unless I was using the Solar Warlock with the dash. Maybe I could have saved myself. But other than that, I was close. I'm going to be using a scout rifle. Just be aware of the sniper. It can two-shot you and there were two snipers. So be very cautious with them. Another method you can do is turn invisible. So you can make the boss move. Or what you can do is take down the Solar Knight and the two snipers and then the boss will teleport to the second phase. So there are two options. And for me, I'm a little impatient. So I am going to do the method where I want to take down the stoppable champion fast. Where I am going to manipulate him and then just go around these rocks. Basically. Might as well. Just be careful that the boss can push you off the map. And sometimes Wildehorde is buggy. There's times where I shoot Wildehorde and it doesn't want to get staggered. You have to consistently equip Wildehorde here and there. And then sometimes it doesn't work. So just be extremely careful with this champion when using Wildehorde. And what I'm doing over here is I'm trying to get Loosen Finisher. So I can get more heavy for the boss fight. Especially dealing with the Solar Knights and then, of course, dealing with the boss. I was trying to get my smoke, but it wasn't going to work out, so I got impatient. So, you know, I'll just wait for it while I take down the taken scions. Now I'm going to be dealing with the second phase. And the second phase is mainly you have to go to Merry-Go-Death. And first things first, we must take down the taken bunnies or the taken scions. So I'm going to land the island and get the hell out of there and go to my little mini spot. Now this spot is available only until you break the shield of the boss. Once you break the shield, this will be join allies, and it won't be available on this little island. Now one thing I would recommend is try to use Wildehorde so you can deal with the scions, and then you can throw a nade at the right side depending on where the scions are. That's pretty much what I did. I try to have a good spot to throw the grenade. And then once I do that, I just use my scout to deal with these scions, make sure they don't duplicate like bunnies, which they are extremely aggressive. And then once I do that, then I'm going to go pick up that relic. And then do DPS with the boss. So right now I'm going to be waiting for my smoke. It is loading. It is recharging. Mainly the boss is RNG. Sometimes it can one-shot you, sometimes it doesn't. This is when you have to slide for your life and not jump when a boss tries to push you off the map. Now the one thing I don't like about Hunter is the boss can still hit you even if you're running. Like here for an example. And that's what really bothers me about Hunters, where you need a relic to gain momentum. Where Titans and Warlocks don't really need a relic so much to gain momentum to get away from the arc attack or the arc blast from the boss. It just bothers me so much. Unless you are an arc hunter, you can use a speed booster, such and such, but still, for Void Hunter, it's annoying and I really hate it so much because there are times where I get one shot randomly of me running. And like I said, Corrupted is RNG. Anything can happen. So now I'm going to be throwing the shield. And I'm going to take my time over here a bit. So when you are breaking the shield, just make sure you use your... Make sure you have your super 40 Solar Knight. So what I'm trying to do over here is trying to see if I can one-face this boss. So my idea was using the super and then Wildehorde or Wildehorde with the linear. Because I almost got it and he had tiny health. But for this run, it didn't go so well. So I went for a safe way. Since the one phase is more of a precise, everything has to be perfect. And it's a nightmare when trying to do precision shots and a super when the boss moves a lot. So now I'm going to be trying to break the shield. And then I'm going to do precision shots as much as I can. But you can see over here, I'm trying to take him down. And I could have if I used my super and such. I decided to save for my super 40 Solar Knights. So just remember to use your super and just be aware that when you're using your super, you will blind them and slow them. So you don't really have to worry of them shooting the blight attack on you. You just have to be worried about the boss because the boss is the one is going to be the biggest threat. So over here, for example, he's blinded. Use Scout, Wildehorde, get the hell out of there. Just run, slide for your life. Okay, I don't care if your girlfriend is calling you, just slide for your life. And then when she's trying to push you, slide, do not jump. Now remember, the Taken Scions are extremely dangerous, so try your best to use Wildehorde and then just run. Run for your life. Make sure you go on the hiding spots. Over here, I was just trying to scout to see where the boss is. And he looks like she's going to be following me and floating away like a psychopath. So I'm going to be running away from her. She is being extremely dangerous. You can see over here, I'm running and she's still attacking me. She still hurt my poor guardian. Just remember to take your time and make sure you take down the Solar Knight. So right now I'm going to throw my nade and then hopefully I'll take down the Solar Knight. Because that's the main objective. before dealing with the boss. So right now I'm just going to a hiding spot. I'm just looking for the boss. That's why I am spamming my emote. The boss is way too close to me. Personal space, boss, and then the blight almost one-shot me. Thank God this wasn't a 1580 run. So I used a scout. He was being awkward, the solar knight, and I got the hell out of there. I am done. This Nightfall is RNG. So now I'm going to be dealing with the boss where we do need to throw relics. So it takes around 3 hits with the Transcendent Blessing and Solo Operative. I'm going to be throwing the relic to hit the shield. Then the boss is starting to float away. The boss is acting extremely weird. I don't know why she's flying up and down, left and right. Just be very careful because anything can happen. This is why I hate this Nightfall. And the boss is shooting arc blast at me even though I'm running as fast as I can with the hunter and it can still get me. So now I'm going to play a little aggressive. So I'm going to try to throw the relic and then try to dodge his arc blast attack. I'm going to be throwing the last relic. The rock hit the boss. The boss is flying away. Where is the boss? Okay, she's all the way in the back. Great, she teleported. She teleported. Time for plan B, even though I don't have a plan B. So I decided to just turn invisible and then look for the boss. I was in panic mode, alright? I didn't think a rock would hit the boss and not one-shot it. I didn't think it would happen, but it happened. Proof, guys, that anything can happen Corrupted. This is why Corrupted is my most hated Nightfall. Because stuff like this happens in solo runs. Or she could be flying up and down, left and right, or get hit by a rock. So much hatred makes me stronger. Well, Transcendent Blessing saved my life, I think. I'm probably gonna off-screen practice on my Titan Warlock. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.